Okay, so you have your counseling.
Yeah.
What was the turning point? You've obviously gone through all this emotional, these things come to the surface, you're starting to really process. Are you and Rachel dating? You're still dating at this point? Yep. And then when was the moment? Was there like a moment, or was it a gradual? Because I think a lot of people expect this radical, this happened and then everything changed.
Yeah.
And my story is similar to yours in the way that it was a process and a journey.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not a magic wand. I think people think God is like a genie, you rub it, it's fine. It's like, no, there's you know. So what, was there like a moment where you're like, okay, did you cry out? Was there a revelation in your heart when Jesus, you know, sure. What does that?
Yeah, no, I mean, no, it's a big journey. I think there are a couple things for me. There was a radical moment that happened that I knew God saved my life. That was the miracle deliverance moment, was having the knowledge and the heart change that he's for me. He's saved me. I could go through it multiple times throughout my life of when I should have died, falling off a building because I was so drunk, the roof of a building, landing on my back, no broken bone, no brain injury, nothing, like being held up, being overly intoxicated, ODing. I should have died. Car wrecks, whatever it is. And yet he saved me. That was the moment. That was like the big, oh my gosh, what am I doing? There's gotta be a change. But I think the Holy Spirit is so kind that he doesn't go after everything all at once. I don't think we could handle it. My personal conviction. He's so kind and patient with us to walk with us through it all. The fact of the matter is he's paid it all. He said on the cross of Calvary that it is finished. So he's deposited everything I need in my account. And I think over the time and journey with him and this walk and journey of faith, he's just slowly teaching me how to access what he's already deposited. But for me, there was, a moment where I got clean and certain things I could look at that table could be covered in cocaine. And I could just look at it and have no desire for it. That was an immediate thing. Adderall, done. It was just kind of like, okay, I don't want this anymore. And thank God. But there were some things, man, that I had to just journey through. I love smoking weed. At that time, I was just like, man, this is hard to give up. I loved certain things, and it was just this moment of journeying with the Holy Spirit, journeying with Rach, that he just slowly, he'd say, hey, man, going into this season, this isn't gonna do. And he'd just kind of highlight those things, and that was just kind of walking through him until, even into my marriage. Rachel and I think there's some thing around pornography that, when I get married, I'll be done. I always thought that. Pornography, when I get married, this won't be a problem anymore. But let me just tell you, it just gets highlighted. It's just it doesn't just disappear. And Rachel and I had to walk through that. But he was so kind to bring those things to the surface and to allow his redemptive work to be at hand. I think no one is exempt from the redemptive work of God, ever. Whether you know him, whether you believe in him, whether you call on him, he always has a redemptive work in store. And so, to answer your question, it was a patient journey of just kind of unveiling things as they come. And,
So, wow. There's so much of this I didn't know, so I'm just blown away. What was it about Rachel where you were like, was there a moment you're like, that's my wife? Was it? because you were dating in college, and obviously you walked through everything, all of this together. What was that moment where you're like, we're there, we're ready to be married?
There was a few times. One of the first times that me and Rachel, before we even started dating, I just got out of a relationship. I was just, a mess at this point still. Face on, face off, deception, whatever. And the thing I love about Rach is that ever since I've known her, that woman knows how to just see straight to it. Like, I couldn't pull nothing over her head. And she looked at me. I remember I was out of this relationship. I was like whipped like a little puppy dog. I was like, man, I'm just so sad and whatever. And me and her were just friends at this time. And she looked at me, and she you might need to delete this, but she looked at me and she said, Neiman, you need to pick up your balls and get moving. And I knew in that moment, I said, this is my wife. Like, I'm going to marry this woman. And
Wow.
And so we started dating like a week later.
Yeah.
And on throughout that, like, I know there were several times where she almost called it off with me. But she always told me, she said, or like we were just talking about it the other day, she said, I probably broke up with you almost 3 times. And she said, but every time I would go to, I'd feel the Holy Spirit just say, wow, no, don't do it. And Rachel didn't grow up charismatic, or she didn't have language for the Holy Spirit. Like, she didn't know that at that time. And so she just always said, I felt the Lord just say, no, just wait. And so we, when it flipped, she and I just took some time apart, and we fasted for a week from each other. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And because I'm like, man, let's go. And she's like, babe, let's just wait on the Lord. And we came back together that week, and we just both knew. And I think for me, I knew that she was going to be my wife. I think this is a big tell for guys. If I could tell dudes, like, look for, my dad always told me this. He said, when you're running hard after God and the call of God on your life, and you look over to your right and you see that she's running for the call of God on her life, that's when you know you're in sync, equally yoked. But I would take that even a step further. At your worst, when that person can still know who God has created you to be, not by in a moment of anger or a moment of weakness. But Rachel saw me at my worst time and time and time again, but held strong to who God had called me to be. And though I hadn't realized it yet, she saw it. That's when I knew. It's like, this is the woman, the woman that's been with me forever. That's my woman. And yeah, just love her so much.